There seems to be a natural and cultural obsession with achieving certain goals and being successful. And it's not the obvious ones like making money, fame, or status. This dynamic also includes contributing to society, starting a business, being in shape, or even finishing college. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing inherently wrong with setting goals and ideals for ourselves. In fact, I'm a big proponent of that idea. But there's one when our happiness depends on it. The truth is that we are logical beings, for the most part. And we use logic to help us decide how we should act and what we should do, now and in the future. Let's say that there's an amateur tennis player that wants to get better. To do that, he decides he will play 10 games a month. And since he loves maths too, he crafted a graph to help visualize what he should do. So on the y-axis he will have the percentage of games won, and on the x-axis the number of months he played. On the first month he wins on average 2 out of 10 games. On the second month he wins 4 out of 10 games. So it's logical to conclude and assume that the more he plays, the more games he will win, until he's doing it almost every match. But what happens is what we measure is something less tangible and intuitive, like happiness. Let's do the graph. Let's measure happiness on the y-axis and goals achieved on the x-axis. Cool. So when we get an A in statistics, we become a little bit happier. And when we get hired, for example, we become a little bit more happier. And since we are logical beings like the tennis player, we extrapolate that if we achieve all of our goals and ideals, we will reach forever happy land. But is that what truly happens? It's not uncommon to hear or watch on TV that famous and rich people that supposedly have it all are suffering severe depression, abusing drugs, or in extreme cases, committing suicide. And it begs for the question, how can they behave that way? How can they suffer that way if they have it all? And it's not a dynamic that only occurs in them. It's something that you and I, probably at a smaller degree, suffer too. Even though it seems reasonable to assume that success and achievement have a direct correlation with our levels of happiness, just like more hours playing tennis cause an improvement in skill, might not be the case. Human psychology is complicated and cannot be reduced to a simple equation. Perhaps there's nothing flawed with us or even famous people. Perhaps the answer does not lie in the logic of the graph, but how we understand one of the axes. The understanding of happiness in Western culture can be described as a feeling that occurs when life goes our way. At a first glance, it seems that there's nothing wrong with this definition. When we win, we're happy, and when we lose, we're not. But let's look at it a little bit more careful. If happiness is a feeling that occurs when life goes our way, it means that our well-being is dependent on circumstances. In other words, we are at the mercy of them and we don't have a saying about it, which render us helpless. Based on our understanding of happiness, whether it's cultural or personal, we are bound to keep striving for more, to keep accomplishing, to keep life going our way, believing that once we get everything we want and need, we will finally make it. And if this sounds like a mouse on a wheel metaphor, it's because it is. Yet, Western culture doesn't leave us with much of a choice either. 2.5 millennia ago, the Buddha told us that the only way to find true happiness is to renunciate all desire. Yet when the time comes, few of us are willing to take such extreme path. Maybe the solution is not to keep running the mouse wheel or to shave our heads and become full-time monks. Perhaps the solution finds itself when we reformulate what happiness is to us. If I show you these two colors, what do you think they are? One is obviously green and the other one is blue. But recent studies suggest that if I ask the same question to an ancient Chinese person, they would have not realized the difference. Why? Because blue didn't exist in their language. In 2006, Jules Davidoff, a psychologist from Goldsmith University of London, showed the Himba tribe in Namibia a circle with 11 green squares and 1 clearly blue squares. Since they didn't have the color blue in their language, no distinction could be made between the two of them. Now, if these people couldn't recognize a color because of their language, imagine how the repercussions of our culture has because we have an incorrect understanding of happiness. If happiness is defined as an inner experience of well-being, independent from circumstances, and that can be worked upon, there would be a shift in the way we behave and even the way we feel. This would mean it doesn't matter whether we achieved something or not. Our happiness would not be affected. And instead of saying that happiness is dependent on circumstances, we can say that's something that we create. The chart we previously conceived would change for a more accurate word like fulfillment. And happiness would be literally out of the equation. Since it's something that can be worked upon, practices like meditation and mindfulness would be more prevalent. And all of this just by changing how we understand a single word. When our happiness does not depend on us achieving our goals, when we are happy whether our dreams get accomplished or not, when we learn to enjoy the process even though we are not sure we will make it, when we are free from as well as free to pursue our goals and dreams, is when we have found true happiness. And I'm along for the ride. Hey guys, Juan Cruz from Inerize. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do it. Also, you can go to inerize.com. There you'll find more videos. Subscribe if you want to keep updated about the new content. You can also share this video with a friend and give it a thumbs up. My whole idea with Inerize is to shift our paradigms. If our objective is to build meaningful, happy and fulfilled lives, we need a shift in how we see the world, each other and especially ourselves. We are in the journey to discover, to learn, to improve and to transform ourselves, and I want to share this journey with you all.